Higher fees, less lounge access, and some cool new seats up in the sky. All of that coming up right now on MTM Travel.
No more need for business class.
Well, happy Tuesday, Mark. I'm back from Minneapolis, had the MTM Diamond meetup there this weekend with about 60 really cool MTM Diamond members. We did an MLS soccer game. That's my first MLS soccer game here in the U.S. Fun times.
Yeah, I've still not been to an MLS game. I've gone to the level right below them. I forget what it's called, but Detroit has a team. So went to that. And that's a really fun time. So I can imagine MLS is just bigger and better and all those things. But it's weird how our soccer setup is nothing like everywhere else in the world, where if you do well in the lower league, you get to move up to MLS. And it doesn't matter if you have a small stadium, whatever. I mean, anybody that's watched the Welcome to Wrexham show has seen kind of that progress through it. And here, though, that's not the case. Like, if you're bad in MLS, you just stay bad in MLS because you have to have, I think it's like $100 million or something like that to get an MLS team, which would be so much more fun if we had a chance to like move up and down and everything.
Well, it was a great time. That seat, Allianz Stadium over in Minneapolis seats almost 20,000 people. It was sold out. The soccer getting bigger than ever here. I mean, MLS is pretty big. It was really cold there, though. We had a cold front go through and everybody was freezing, but I enjoyed it. And Jasmine got to arrange a pregame experience where we were down right next to the field on field level, watching all the soccer players warm up. She was very happy with that. So everything went well.
I mean, nothing cooler than being field level for stuff during warmups. I love that.
Yeah. So I stayed at the Hyatt Centric. I guess I should talk about that really quick. I believe it's a Category 3 hotel in downtown Minneapolis. And yeah, pretty good. It's in this old building from 1915, and I think they renovated it a few years ago. And it's pretty standard Hyatt-centric conversion. I don't know if you know, if you're nerdy enough about Hyatt to know that. There's new builds and there's conversions. It's pretty standard for that. I think it was a pretty good deal. Decent hotel, good location, very walkable. Like 2 minutes from the train. You take the train in from the airport. Minneapolis, one of my favorite cities to visit. Hadn't been there in a while. Friendliest people in the country. Should I say that, Mark? Are you going to get offended? But they're friendly. That Midwest friendliness is, I've never seen it more than in that area of the country.
Yeah, I think it's a great place. I went there recently with my son to go to the Mall of America a couple years ago. I think we talked about it on this show, and then was back there for a meetup a year ago. And we stayed at the Hyatt Regency downtown during that stay, and it was fine. It was nothing great, more of a conference type of hotel, and the location was okay and all that. I think my favorite of the places I've stayed is probably the Hyatt Regency out by the Mall of America. Same type of thing, right on the train line. I think it's one stop away from the airport. So you just hop on that, go up there, and then you can take the train to the Mall of America. So if you're going there for that purpose, you can get downtown in like 25 minutes or so, and you can get to the Mall of America in 5 or 10 minutes. And I think that was a Cat 2. I don't know what it is now. But that was a newer build, nice. Not a ton around it though. If you want somewhere you can walk around, not the best setup for that.
Yeah, the Hyatt Regency in Bloomington, I like that hotel as well. And I guess people may be concerned about Minneapolis, everything that's gone on. Felt great over there. We were out at night, had groups around, felt like a really nice area. Probably could use some people visiting. So I think we had a great time and another great city. And thanks to everybody who came out. I just always enjoy seeing all the members. And we've had this group for so long, and there's so many people that I've known for so long. And then it's always nice to see new people, but it's always like kind of like seeing family.
Yeah, it's fun when you get back together, and that's a big reason that Chicago Seminars has been around all these years, is just people coming from around the country to get together once a year. And that's what's so cool about Diamond, is you get to do that a couple more times a year. I mean, you don't want to see people just once. If you can get out there 2, 3, 4 times a year and hang out with them, it's even better.
Yeah, we love doing the meetups, and we have Vegas coming up at the end of this year. For Diamond people, that's going to be epic, I think, and everybody looking forward to that first weekend in Vegas. And I don't have to travel for once for a meetup, so that'll be cool too.
I mean, we did Vegas a couple years ago, so you didn't have to travel for that one either.
That was like 5 years ago. It was quite a while. You left. We didn't do one in Vegas, so it's time to come back. Bring Mark home. Patreon.com/miles to memories. Anybody interested in joining Diamond? We got the Slack, all the bonus content. Didn't mean to do a house ad here, but it's a great community of people. We really love our groups, growing, all kinds of great information there. But let's get into some travel stories here. You wanted to follow up on your Fairmont Bermuda whole ordeal. You talked on the show how you were paying with points, but then they charged your credit card up front. And what was the result of all of that when you tried when you got to the hotel? Did they try to double charge you?
Yeah, and I forgot to bring this up, I believe, on the Bermuda rundown when we went through the whole trip. And so got there, checked in, and everything was pretty normal. So I didn't really broach it with the person at check-in. It was late. We got there at like 10 p.m. So I was like, all right, we'll deal with it in the morning. Wake up in the morning, and I had planned to try to build stuff back to the room because I had a stash of points, and we are going to go out to like a nice dinner at an on-site restaurant. But since we got there so late, didn't have that chance. And I'm kind of happy because I think it would have been even more of a pain had I build things back to the room. But I got up in the morning and saw the bill underneath my door, and it said I still owed like $150 because I think the room was like $800, a little over $800. They charged me $690 something, and they said I still owed the difference. And I'm like, wait a second, like you already took my points, you took my money, and now you're saying I owe money. So I was ready for a fight when I went down to check out. Just mentioned, hey, I'd used points. You already took my points because I didn't want them to take the points again. Said, you already used my points. I'm supposed to get a credit back, all of that type of stuff. So the front desk agent went and got like the front end manager, and he came over and he seemed to know exactly what's going on. He went through it, knocked it all out, and said, okay, so you were supposed to get, let's say $690 credited back to your card. I did owe a $5.99 fee because points didn't cover the whole thing. So he said, you're going to get, let's just say $685 back on your credit card, and that should be out. And printed off the receipt showing all that. And then 2 days later, the credit hit my card. So it does work. They do seem to know it. I don't know why they do it this way. If I was going to do it again, I'd probably just pay cash for the room and use points at checkout. So you didn't get hit with both things. If you're going to pay anyway, you might as well just do it up front and get reimbursed at the back end. I don't know.
Is that possible? Do you know that, like, if you just show up at a hotel with a reservation, you just say, hey, bring my points to bring the balance down, they can just tap in and do that?
Yeah, that's supposed to be the way with all Accor, that they can, at any point you can wipe it off. Anything you bill back to your room, they should be able to take points and wipe it off. And then even if you're not staying on property, you're supposed to be able to go in and eat at the restaurant and say, hey, give me like a folio or whatever that I can redeem these points towards. I've never done it that way. Technically, it's supposed to work that way. Now, is this hotel just wonky that everything's going to be a little bit of a pain? Possibly. But yeah, you're supposed to be able to do all of that with the Accor program, which is what kind of makes it so unique.
Yeah, then probably not a bad idea. Of course, ideally you're hoping that you don't get charged that $700 up front and that you don't have to float that for a few months. But at least it worked out. Good to see that. And Accor is weird, and so people out there probably saying, well, maybe this sounds like a hassle, but a huge value there. What is it, like 2.3 cents per point right now?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. And every other time I've stayed at an Accor, they took the points. I got billed whatever the leftover is because it goes in chunks. Like 2,000 points is worth a little over $40. And you use up the points until there's no left. Like they don't let you use partial redemptions. You have to redeem in 2,000 point chunks. This just happened to work out that there was only like $6 left. Other times I've paid like $25 or $30. So normally it works fine. I would just book it with points anywhere else. This is a unique hotel, the way they do it. And they said that that's just for like promo type of room rates. I feel like it's always under promo. So I don't know.
Well, let's move on to something happier. The SkyNest for Air New Zealand. So I was remembering before this show how the SkyNest was announced a long time ago, but I didn't remember how long ago it was. I went on YouTube. It was 6 years ago that Air New Zealand released a video of their SkyNest, and it doesn't look much different what they're actually releasing now. But they announced that on their new 7879 models, and you'll start to be able to book this May 18th of 2026, you will be able to book the SkyNest, which will sit in between the premium economy and the economy cabins. This is bunk beds in the middle of an airplane, similar to what you see on some train designs. There's even buses that have a similar design here, but they're going to give you, premium bedding and all of that sort of stuff, a little amenity kit, and they're going to sell this in 4-hour chunks. So 2 different 4-hour chunks during the flight where you can go in there, take your nap, kind of like a little bit of a pod hotel on a plane.
Yeah, I really think this is fun, something unique, a little bit different. I think there's value here. I think it's like around $500 for the 4-hour chunk, which I think is well worth it. I wish it was longer. I feel like 4 hours by the time you get settled in, fall asleep, it's only going to be a couple hours of sleeping, and then you're going to be woken up, and that's going to be slightly annoying. So if I was going to do it, I'd probably try to book back to back, so I had to get 8 hours in there. Dare I say that this looks like it might be more comfortable than a business class seat, just because it's a fully lie flat type of setup. The downside is if you wanted to like watch something on your tablet and all those things, you can't adjust the chair, so you lose that. But just for sleep's sake, I wonder if this would be a more comfortable bed type of experience, versus a lie flat business class seat. A lot of that will depend on the type of mattress in there and all those things. But I feel like the potential is there for it to be a more comfortable sleep experience, except for there's way less privacy. I don't know how you feel being triple stacked on top of people.
I mean, I've taken plenty of trains. I've done that on buses too in Vietnam, which were far less comfortable than this looks. There is a curtain, I think, so you can slide the curtain and kind of close yourself off. As you point, this really is for sleeping, and it's 495 New Zealand dollars, so that's like less than 300 US dollars. Even better if you're talking about double booking if you want to have like a full sleep. And I can guarantee you that these are more comfortable than a lot of business class seats. There's some really uncomfortable business class seats when you lay them flat, where it's like a hard rock.
Singapore.
So yeah. So, yeah, that's one of them. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a great idea, and they had this for a long time. And even in their interview about it, they're talking about how, hey, we're not reinventing the wheel. This exists in other forms of transportation, but bringing it into the sky is sort of unique. And it's sitting right in the middle of the aisle, so it'll be interesting how those aisleways, you'll probably have to squeeze by them as you go back on the plane.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see how it's all laid out, and then people getting in and out of the beds and how loud it is, or if somebody's snoring below you, is it that noticeable? I guess it's no different than somebody snoring next to you on the plane. But we'll have to see like what the reports are when it all comes back, or do you feel kind of secluded in there when you close the curtain? It seems like the stairs or the step ladder is kind of up by the head, so you shouldn't be. Your head should be buried back a little bit, feel a little bit more secluded that way. So I think that this is really a good move. I think it will be accessible to more people than a business class is, especially for people that are paying cash for the tickets, or even in maybe this offers more value at times where you book the flight, especially if it comes to more airlines, where you book the flight in economy with miles and then pay the $300, 350, whatever it is, at that time to get the betting, or even if you do it for 8 hours and you get for $700, let's say, that's a really good deal for an upgrade.
And I guess the comparison we should make is the Sky Couch. We saw United release the Sky Couch. We've already had that on other airlines. This is so much better. I mean, this is so much better. You're private. You got a curtain that you're just exposed kind of out in the seat. I don't know. I think that this is a better option than that.
Yeah, and you have an actual mattress and actual bedding and all that. And I still am a bit worried about the Sky Couch of when it kicks up. How strong is that? Are you going to feel it like tilt a little bit? There's nothing worse than feeling like you're rolling off something when you're trying to sleep.
And one last thing, the length of these, I'm guessing, is longer than the Sky Couch too. It says that they are 80 inches in length, so 6'6". So that's good for taller people as well.
Oh, you can fully stretch out.
Yeah, my feet won't go out into the aisle. This is beautiful. But what's not beautiful is what Virgin Atlantic did to their award fees. This is a company that already had decently high surcharges on awards, and they raised them by about $50. One-way in economy jumped from like 111 to 164. This is flying US to Europe. Premium economy, almost $300 now. And then business class, $700. And then if you're coming back, it's even more. I have to say, in economy, it's probably cheaper just to buy the ticket.
Yeah, and we've seen this. I think since this story came out, I briefly mentioned it last episode, but I wanted to dive into it a little bit deeper on this travel episode. And we've seen, I think Japan Airlines just did this, maybe ANA too. They're raising the surcharges with fuel costs increasing. The sad thing is, that once fuel costs drop back down, they're not going to drop these prices, or at least Virgin won't. I highly doubt that they will. And I think the cheapest you can get is 12,000 round trip in economy, 12,000 miles, and $500. And like you said, it's often that you can get a cash ticket for less than that in economy. If you're a little bit flexible, I think you can do that, especially if you're going into London or out of London, anything like that. I think the better deal is to just pay cash directly. And it just shows that like Virgin Atlantic miles are becoming worth less and less. Can't really use it on their metal because of the fees. Delta is so hard to find space. It used to be so easy to find space domestically, even internationally, and in economy for sure, and in business class a bit. You can't really find it at all anymore, at least in business class. It's near impossible. And I used to always search Virgin first when I would fly domestically on Delta, and I'd probably over 50% of the time find award space. And now it's 1 out of 10 maybe in my searches.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons Virgin has such low prices on the award itself, right? It's because they charge these high fees. And I mean, I know 12,000. It's rare that you're going to ever find 12,000 round trip for economy, but you do often see 12,000 one way or 15,000 one way, and it's still, yeah, it looks like a better deal than it is, I guess is the point. And when you look at business class, like the cheapest business class, 58,000 points round trip with 1,700 in fees, and you can clearly see what they're doing. But I think it's a great point that you're saying. Airlines are tightening the belts here with oil being in flux and everything going on. And just as somebody who's been searching for upcoming trips, award availability has crashed in these programs where pricing is variable. Award prices have skyrocketed, even for economy awards, things that were 20K one way are 40K now, even if they weren't even the saver, so they're just jacking up prices. And then we've seen bag fees go up across tons of airlines as well.
Yeah, it's rough, and especially coming into the summer season, it's kind of the worst time to have all this go in. Hopefully, you already have your stuff locked up for the next 6 months or so, and you can kind of ride it out until things settle down and prices drop and they come back down to earth a little bit. That's kind of the situation I'm in. I don't have anything that I need to book. I have most of our fall travel wrapped up already. I don't think we have any major plans going into the winter, but like next spring and stuff, I would like to start to look at coming this summer. And it's just a question of, will the prices still be high? Do I have to hold off there? But do you know what my favorite use of Virgin Atlantic miles is now?
No, what?
Popcorn and drinks at AMC theaters.
Okay, but you got to go on a Virgin cruise.
Did you? Well, no, those prices are insane. They're terrible now. It's like 300K to go on a cruise. I should have struck when you could get the deals for like 80,000, but no, you can.
I don't even know about the movie theater thing, so fill me in.
So if you go to the Virgin Red site and you go to like redemptions or whatever, it's the cheapest redemption on there. It's 700 points for a regular size drink, which costs, like $8-9 at a lot of AMC theaters, even more in big cities. And then you can get a regular size popcorn for 750 points, which those can be like $10-12. So if you're taking advantage of some transfer bonuses and things like that, you can push this up to like you're getting 1.5, 1.6 cents per point. And I use it all summer long, take my kids to movies all the time. I buy the daily matinee tickets where they're super cheap. It's like $6 at our theater, and then let them load up on popcorn and drinks, and all of that is covered. You can redeem more than one. I think I've redeemed up to 7. They had like a little birthday party that I redeemed for all their friends. I think after like 7 or 8, you get kind of capped out, and that's people. So a drink and a popcorn for each person. We can go to the movies, the 3 of us, for like $19 and all have snacks and everything during the summertime.
You're giving extreme couponer vibes now.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. Movies are so dang expensive now.
I know.
The concessions are more expensive, and the tickets are also available. It's not a good deal unless you're getting like some like super expensive 4D. I don't even know if it works for that, but the price for that, what they want in Virgin points just isn't worth it.
So let's move on to some bad news. American Airlines removing elite benefits in basic economy, specifically like choosing your seat, right? If you book basic economy, you're not going to be able to choose your seat anymore. But they did leave boarding, I think. Priority boarding stays intact. But This is a move away from, they don't want you to book basic economy, basically.
They want to make it more expensive to have status. And that's kind of what we thought this was going to be when it all launched. And most of the other, to American's credit, most of the other airlines took this stuff away either from the beginning or slowly degraded it. And American, I think, was kind of the last one standing that was allowing you stuff. But at the end of last year, they took away earning points on basic economy tickets, which I think is stupid. Like, if you want to do a reduced rate, fine. But this just made getting anything more expensive. Like, basic economy is the price that used to be the regular main cabin booking. And so they've just made main cabin more expensive. They made you pay a premium to use your status levels to get any perks out of it. And I didn't really ever book basic economy anyway. I would only do it if it was like close in and I knew for sure I was taking the flight. So like once a year, maybe it's not a big loss in that way, but it's just kind of the signal that they're sending out there. Hey, thanks for being our most loyal customers, but we want you to have to pay to use it.
And the big news this week is that Spirit Airlines is in serious trouble and may liquidate. We may lose Spirit Airlines. We don't know. This is a widespread reporting, but the company can't comment on it. The cost of jet fuel has skyrocketed, and their whole plan to exit bankruptcy relied on lower jet fuel. And so the court may force them to liquidate. And you have to wonder what sort of effect that's going to have on wider prices and everything else. And these basic economy sort of tickets were designed to compete with them. And with less competition, I think that they're deciding that they don't have to give some of the perks. They're really just trying to give the price point. People don't notice, hey, I don't earn miles here. They just care about the price, or at least that customer does. But I wonder if Spirit does go away. Do you know? I mean, that's going to kill flight prices that are already terrible right now. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
One last competitor out there. I mean, we still have Allegiant, Frontier, Sun Country, all that stuff, but they don't have the same route maps as Spirit does. So there, anything that only Spirit's on, or Spirit's the main competition that's a low cost carrier, is probably going to go up because there's nothing keeping that price down. And this just goes to show, one, Spirit's been run horribly because other low cost carriers are doing okay. So mismanagement has been a problem. But also, two, that they don't have the rewards program that a Delta, even a Southwest, an American, or United does. And that's not to say that American isn't struggling from mismanagement too, but they have that to rely back on. One, to get funding when the times are tight, they can go out and get loans based off of that loyalty program. And two, that's been a huge proponent of their financial gains over the years of selling the miles to the banks, the credit card spending, all that stuff. Spirit, yes, they have a credit card, they have a mileage program, but it's nowhere near as successful as the other ones.
Yeah, this will create a vacuum in many airport markets. Think of South Florida, some of the bigger Spirit markets. You'll see things go up. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. Hopefully, they can figure out a way to save themselves or find a buyer for the airline. We know JetBlue isn't doing all so well these days either, and probably needs to find a buyer as well. We've talked about all of that, but huge flux here as prices keep going up, and we will see. But I think that you'll see these little screws go to you, because basic economy is really a bait and switch. It's the airline's way to have their cake and eat it too, to sell you a cheaper ticket, but not to give you that loyalty program that's driving so much money to kind of push you further into their ecosystem. And sort of, I don't know, it sucks that we're seeing this. And you're right, it was so good when you had American Airlines status. You could buy the cheapest ticket and then select a premium economy seat or whatever, the extra legroom seats. And that was a hell of a hack.
Yeah, it was great while it lasted. And, maybe if the Spirit and JetBlue merger had gone through, both would be looking better now. Maybe they both would be looking worse, but they denied it because they said it would be bad for pricing. Well, Spirit going away is even worse. So maybe they should have let that happen.
And one last thing to talk about, United saying, hey, Star Alliance partners, we don't want your customers in our Polaris lounges. United, they've invested so much money in Polaris over, I guess, the last 10 years. When did they launch Polaris? Seems like about 10 years ago. And it's just gotten better and better. You really love their lounges. The seats, I think, keep getting better. They just announced a ton of, new enhancements. We talked about, a month or two ago. And they're buying a ton of new planes. And all that to say, they probably don't have the space in their lounges for all their Star Alliance partners. Oh, so they've already started restricting Star Alliance partners. So the only way to get into a Polaris lounge if you're flying on a partner is if you're on first class on ANA, Lufthansa, and Swiss, or business class on Lufthansa, Swiss, Austrian, and Brussels, or business class on ANA, Air New Zealand, ITA. So a limited select of partners, but most partners are shut out now.
Yeah, and it seems like they're focusing on partners that they have a better relationship with, or more entwined. They're still giving them access. But I've been in Polaris lounges a couple times over the last 3 to 5 years, and they do get crowded, especially at peak times. So I would usually get there a little bit early because I'd have to connect into Newark or Dulles, and I'd be there probably 5 hours before my flight, and it was okay in the beginning. And then by the time you got close to the flight, it was really busy. And that's not all the Polaris people on United. Like, there's definitely other airlines in there filling it up, and it would get to the point that it wasn't a premium feeling experience, and it would be overly crowded. That doesn't even talk about like the dining room and stuff like that would fill up really quickly. So I don't blame them for this move. It stinks if you were booking on a partner and expecting to get access, because it is a great lounge. I actually like the lounge better than I like the business class product, but it's a move that they probably needed to make with the space that they have at this time.
Yeah, and of course, if you're flying on one of those other airlines that don't get Polaris, you're still going to get lounge access for whatever the airline has for their business class lounge in that airport. So it's not like you're going to be out in the terminal, and it's fine. I mean, this they're not the only airline to ever do this, and I don't think that they need criticism. In fact, you should maybe compliment them. They're adding a lot of business class seats on their new jets. They're trying to enhance their product. I think they've probably been, well, I don't know. Delta's been really aggressive with improving their seats as well. I think maybe American's fallen a little bit behind, and I don't know, they're all doing okay. There's a lot worse products than any of those three have as far as like flagship products on their planes.
Yeah, and those people can still get into your United Club and get some hard, dusty cheese.
There you go. And what like the house beer or something, right? Something like that for free. So let us know what you guys think about everything we talked about today. The bunk bed in the sky. Are you excited for that? Would you pay $300? I think $300 for, I mean, it sounds good to me. I think it would at least be worth trying out. Everything else we talked about, AA changing their basic economy, Polaris access, Mark's Accor fiasco. Leave a comment. We'll be back on Thursday with our Miles and Points show, and we do 3 shows a week over in Vegas as well. So make sure to check that out. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
How long do you think until somebody gets busted trying to go to the Mile High Club in that?
Gotta be quiet. Gotta be quiet.
Have a good week, everybody.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your